When you start to feel disconnected from the people, places, or routines that once felt familiar, it's not always a sign that something is wrong. It's often a divine signal that something bigger is unfolding beneath the surface. The feeling of disconnection is one of the first and most subtle ways the universe prepares you for movement. It's the spiritual nudge that your energy no longer fits into the container it once did. You might notice conversations that once excited you now feel shallow, or environments that used to comfort you now drain your spirit. This isn't because you've become cold or ungrateful, but because your soul has shifted frequency. You've been growing quietly, internally, and without realizing it, you've evolved beyond certain vibrations. This is what happens when you're being called higher. You are no longer meant to resonate with what was once your normal. God begins to detach your spirit from certain energies before he detaches your body from those places. That sense of emotional distance is not rejection, it's redirection. It's his way of saying, you can't stay here anymore, I'm preparing you for something new. Many chosen ones struggle during this stage because it feels confusing and isolating. You might ask yourself why you suddenly feel misunderstood by the same people who once knew you best. The truth is, they're still seeing the old version of you, the one that no longer exists. The divine shift in your life is causing your energy to vibrate differently, and when that happens, others can feel it even if they can't explain it. They may react with distance, defensiveness, or confusion, but it's not about them understanding your growth, it's about you understanding your calling. When your assignment changes, so does your alignment. The disconnection is part of the separation that has to take place before elevation. Spiritually, you are being unclipped from the attachments that keep you anchored to your past. What once felt like comfort now feels like confinement because your soul has outgrown its environment. You'll notice how the familiar begins to lose its power over you. The same conversations no longer feed you, the same spaces start to feel too small, and even your habits begin to shift. The shows you used to enjoy, the music you used to play, even the foods you once craved, everything begins to lose its flavor. It's as though the universe is turning down the volume on your old world so you can tune into the new frequency you're meant to follow. This is a divine recalibration, where your energy begins to detach from what was and slowly move toward what will be. Sometimes it feels like loneliness, but it's actually preparation. The stillness and silence you experience are sacred, they are the spaces where divine instructions are whispered. God is clearing your path, removing distractions, and creating distance from anything that could keep you tied to an expired version of yourself. During this time, you might start to question everything. Why do you no longer connect with your friends the way you used to? Why does your job suddenly feel meaningless? Why do you crave solitude more than company? These questions are natural symptoms of transformation. You are shedding layers of identity that were built from survival, people-pleasing, and fear of judgment. You are being called to step into authenticity, and authenticity often requires isolation first. The feeling of disconnection is your spiritual detox. God is removing what is not pure so that only the truth remains. He's separating the temporary from the eternal, the noise from the message, the attachments from the calling. This is a sacred purification process where he makes sure that when you step into your next chapter, you do so with clarity and power. Even though it can feel like you're losing everything, you're actually gaining alignment. You're moving out of places where your energy no longer fits, and sometimes that means walking away from people you love, jobs you worked hard for, or dreams that once felt like destiny. But understand this: God would never remove something from your life unless what's coming is greater. That discomfort you feel isn't punishment, it's preparation. Every chosen one experiences this before their major elevation. The uneasiness is proof that your current environment can't contain your next level. You're being called to detach from what is familiar so that you can step into what is fruitful. It's important to understand that spiritual disconnection doesn't always happen suddenly. Sometimes it's a gradual shift, a quiet drift away from the things that once made you feel alive. One day you wake up and realize that the energy that used to surround you now feels foreign. It's like wearing clothes that no longer fit. They might still look fine, but you can't move comfortably in them anymore. Spiritually, your soul has grown, and it needs more space to expand. This is why many chosen ones experience frustration during this phase. You can feel the push for change, but the new door hasn't opened yet. You're caught between the old and the new, and it feels like a spiritual in-between. This is where patience and trust are tested most deeply. You're not being abandoned, you're being prepared. God is aligning everything in the unseen realm before revealing it in the physical. In this in-between season, many people mistake disconnection for depression. They assume something is wrong with them because they no longer feel motivated by the same things. But what's really happening is an energetic shift. Your soul is craving more authenticity, more truth, more purpose. You're not broken, you're awakening. The desire to withdraw, to be alone, to spend time in silence is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of ascension. You are being unplugged from the noise of the world so you can hear the whispers of your destiny. God is reprogramming your inner frequency so you can receive divine downloads and new directions. This phase might make you feel invisible, but in truth, you're being hidden for protection. He's guarding you while he restructures your life. You might also notice how certain people start to exit your life without explanation. Friendships fade, relationships dissolve, communication slows. This is not rejection, it's spiritual pruning. When God is about to elevate you, he removes anyone or anything that cannot travel with you to the next level. The detachment hurts because your human side still remembers the love, the loyalty, the memories. But your spirit understands that not everyone can handle your next chapter. Some people were only meant to walk with you to the end of this current path, not beyond it. The feeling of disconnection is God's mercy disguised as discomfort. It's his way of gently guiding you away from what no longer serves your destiny. As this disconnection deepens, you might start feeling drawn to new things without knowing why. Maybe you suddenly feel inspired to move to a new place, start a new project, or explore a different path. These impulses aren't random, they are divine guidance taking root within your intuition. Your spirit knows before your mind does that it's time to move. That restlessness you feel is heaven stirring your purpose. It's the inner confirmation that your current environment has completed its assignment in your story. God is whispering that there's more waiting for you, but you have to be willing to release the old before he reveals the new. During this phase, you'll notice that peace becomes your new compass. Things that once caused you anxiety now fall away easily. You stop chasing validation, stop forcing connections, stop trying to fit into places where you no longer belong. The detachment brings an inner calm because your soul finally recognizes that nothing that is meant for you will require you to shrink. You begin to trust the silence, to trust that every unanswered question has purpose behind it. That trust becomes your bridge to the next season. Even though disconnection feels like loss, it's actually liberation. You're being freed from energetic contracts that no longer align with your higher purpose. The places where you once fit perfectly now feel uncomfortable because you're no longer supposed to be there. It's not your fault, and it's not theirs, it's simply the natural process of evolution. Every chosen one goes through a divine unrooting before they are planted into their next assignment. That unrooting is painful because it forces you to let go of control. But this is exactly where faith grows. There will be moments when you want to go back, when nostalgia tricks you into believing the old days were better. But don't be deceived by the comfort of the past. The reason it feels safe is because it's familiar, not because it's fulfilling. The feeling of disconnection is not a punishment, it's your spiritual graduation. You've learned the lessons you needed in that environment, and now it's time to apply them elsewhere. When God promotes your spirit, he also changes your surroundings to match your new frequency. Staying where you've outgrown will only delay your blessings. You might also feel as though the universe is forcing your hand, creating situations that make it impossible to stay comfortable. Suddenly, things stop working, doors close, opportunities fade, plans crumble. This is not sabotage, it's divine intervention. God is removing the illusion of stability so you can finally take the leap of faith. The more you resist the feeling of disconnection, the harder it becomes. But once you surrender to it, peace follows. The very moment you stop fighting the shift and start flowing with it, everything begins to align effortlessly. This process doesn't always make sense, but it always makes transformation. The feeling of disconnection is not something to fear, it's something to honor. It's evidence that your spirit is alive, growing, and responding to divine timing. You are evolving into someone new, and the world around you has to shift accordingly. Those moments of emptiness, confusion, and solitude are actually sacred invitations to trust deeper, to listen closer, to align completely. Every chosen one experiences this spiritual shedding before stepping into their true calling. So when you find yourself sitting in silence, feeling detached from the world you once knew, understand that you are standing on the edge of a divine relocation. The unease is temporary, but the transformation it brings is eternal. Your soul knows its time. The world may not understand your withdrawal, but heaven celebrates your obedience. The feeling of disconnection is not a sign that you've lost your way, it's proof that you're being guided somewhere greater. When unexpected shifts begin to happen in your life, when things that once seemed stable start to crumble, or when doors you never imagined would close suddenly slam shut, it's rarely by accident. These moments are divine alignments disguised as disruption. Every chosen one experiences a time when everything begins to move, not just physically, but spiritually and emotionally, and it feels like life itself is rearranging the pieces without your permission. This is God's alignment process, His way of orchestrating change that forces you to move in the direction of destiny. The losses, the endings, the sudden opportunities, and even the disappointments are all part of a greater plan to shift you from where you are to where you are meant to be. Nothing is random when you are chosen. Every closed door, every delayed plan, and every unexpected change is an act of divine precision designed to position you exactly where you need to be for the next chapter of your calling. Many people mistake these moments for chaos, thinking they've fallen out of favor or that something is wrong. But for the chosen ones, the chaos is often confirmation. When God begins to realign your life, it rarely feels comfortable. The realignment shakes the foundations of your routine, rearranges your priorities, and removes anything that was built on a foundation that cannot support your future. What feels like loss is actually protection, what looks like rejection is actually redirection. Every unexpected shift carries purpose hidden within it. The plans that didn't work out were never meant to be permanent, they were temporary assignments designed to prepare you for greater responsibility. The reason these shifts feel so intense is because alignment often requires separation. To align you with what's next, God must first detach you from what's no longer meant to stay. Sometimes this means losing people, positions, or possessions you thought would be part of your forever. It can feel like the rug has been pulled from under your feet, but what's really happening is divine hands are placing you on higher ground. You may not see it yet, but the breaking is creating the space for the blessing. The old chapter has to collapse before the new one can be built. When you're being aligned, you'll notice how everything begins to feel uncertain, not because you're being punished, but because you're being prepared for the next level of clarity. Chosen ones often go through seasons where everything seems to happen all at once: a job loss, a friendship ending, a move, a health scare, a breakthrough followed by a breakdown. This isn't coincidence, it's divine timing working in layers. The spiritual realm is recalibrating your life so that every area aligns with your higher purpose. When one part of your life is out of sync, God will allow shifts to ripple through all areas until everything vibrates at the same frequency. You may not understand it, but there's a divine rhythm unfolding behind the scenes. The universe is removing what no longer aligns with your calling and sending what does. Even when it feels like you're losing control, you're actually being guided with precision. There's something sacred about the unexpected because it humbles the human need for control. The chosen ones often try to plan everything, to make sense of every step, to ensure security before moving forward. But divine alignment rarely follows logic. God doesn't need your understanding, He needs your obedience. The shifts He sends are not meant to destroy your plans but to upgrade them. Sometimes the very thing you're fighting to keep is what's blocking your blessing. When the divine alignment begins, it rearranges your relationships, your work, your mindset, and your emotional patterns. It will expose hidden attachments and test your willingness to surrender. The faster you release what no longer serves you, the smoother the transition becomes. During this stage, it's common to feel a deep sense of unease, like something in your spirit is both restless and hopeful at the same time. You may feel drawn toward new ideas, places, or people without understanding why. This internal pull is divine magnetism guiding you toward your next destination. Your intuition starts speaking louder, synchronicities begin to appear, and confirmations start showing up everywhere: numbers, dreams, sudden coincidences that seem too precise to ignore. These are not random signs, they are divine breadcrumbs meant to assure you that you are on the right path, even when your physical circumstances suggest otherwise. The alignment process also reveals how attachments can limit divine movement. Many chosen ones cling to old versions of themselves, old stories, or old environments out of fear. But alignment requires surrender. You cannot carry expired energy into a new season and expect elevation. God will allow circumstances to become uncomfortable until you have no choice but to move. The very environment that once nourished you begins to feel like it's closing in on you. It's His way of saying, this place has completed its assignment in your life. The relationships that no longer serve your growth start to fade, the opportunities that once looked promising begin to dissolve, and the plans that used to excite you no longer hold power over your spirit. Everything starts to shift to make room for new alignment. These shifts don't always come in dramatic ways. Sometimes they're subtle: a conversation that changes your perspective, a rejection that pushes you to try something different, a delay that saves you from a mistake. Divine alignment can look like inconvenience but carry infinite protection. You might think something went wrong, but in reality, something went right in ways you can't yet see. The reason chosen ones often experience this so intensely is because their purpose carries weight. Their movements are not just for themselves, they ripple out to affect others. God orchestrates every detail of their journey with precision because their alignment impacts the alignment of many others. When you're going through these unexpected shifts, trust becomes your most powerful tool. The human instinct is to resist change, to hold on tightly to what's familiar. But divine alignment requires flow, not force. It requires faith that even when the map doesn't make sense, the destination is divine. You may not understand the detour, but you must believe that every delay and disruption is serving a higher plan. Sometimes the blessing isn't in the destination, but in what the journey shapes you into. The lessons you learn during the shifts prepare you for the responsibility that comes with your next level. Every door that closes redirects your focus to the one that is about to open. There are moments during alignment when everything slows down, almost as if the universe is holding its breath. During this stillness, many chosen ones grow anxious, thinking they've missed something or taken a wrong turn. But this stillness is sacred, it's the pause before acceleration. God uses these quiet moments to fortify your spirit, to sharpen your discernment, and to ensure that when the next opportunity comes, you won't question whether it's meant for you. He prepares you inwardly so you can handle the external blessings without fear. The unexpected shifts are not punishment, they are rehearsal for purpose. It's also during divine alignment that your hidden strengths begin to surface. You start realizing how resilient you are, how much faith you carry, and how powerfully you can rebuild. What was meant to break you becomes the training ground that builds you. Every obstacle becomes an initiation. The losses teach you detachment, the delays teach you patience, and the disruptions teach you trust. Each shift refines your spirit, molding you into the person who can handle what you've been praying for. Many people want the blessing but resist the breaking, yet it's the breaking that creates the space for the blessing to exist. As your alignment deepens, the universe begins to send confirmation through divine connections. You may meet new people who feel like instant family, encounter mentors who guide you with wisdom, or cross paths with opportunities that align perfectly with your purpose. These alignments feel effortless, as though everything is falling into place on its own. That's the beauty of divine timing. When it's right, it flows. You no longer have to chase or force outcomes because what's meant for you will recognize you. Your energy will attract everything that's in vibrational harmony with your calling. But divine alignment also tests your discernment. Not every new opportunity is from God, some are distractions dressed as blessings. This is why spiritual awareness is crucial during this phase. The enemy often tries to intercept divine movement by sending counterfeits right before the breakthrough. You must listen to your inner peace. If something disturbs your spirit, even slightly, it's not aligned. Real alignment brings clarity, not confusion. It may stretch you, but it won't drain you. It may challenge you, but it will also expand you. The chosen ones must learn to differentiate between what is meant to test them and what is meant to transform them. During this process, you'll begin to see that every shift was necessary. The people who left made room for those who were meant to stay. The plans that fell apart made space for better ones. The disappointments that hurt you pushed you closer to your divine purpose. When you look back, you'll realize that every seemingly random event was part of a perfectly crafted design. Nothing was wasted. Every tear watered the seeds of your next season. The alignment wasn't about losing control, it was about finding faith. This alignment also has a spiritual weight that can be felt in your body. You may feel physically tired, emotionally drained, or mentally foggy during transitions. This happens because your energy is being recalibrated. Your soul is letting go of old vibrations and adjusting to a higher frequency. Rest is crucial during this phase because transformation requires energy. The universe is upgrading you, clearing old emotional residue, and preparing your spirit for expansion. The discomfort is temporary, but the growth it creates is eternal. You'll also begin to notice divine timing in everything. The right opportunities will appear at the exact moment you're ready. The things you once chased will start to chase you. The waiting seasons will make sense because you'll understand that if it had happened earlier, you wouldn't have been prepared. God's alignment is always perfect, even when it feels late. He works through delays to build your patience and through redirection to build your faith. Every shift, no matter how painful, is divinely timed to bring you closer to the person you were created to be. And while alignment often begins with loss, it always ends with clarity. Once you've surrendered to the process, peace begins to replace panic. You realize that everything that left was never meant to stay, and everything that arrives does so with divine purpose. The confusion fades, the chaos settles, and your spirit finally feels at home in the new season. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start saying, "This is happening for me." You begin to recognize divine fingerprints on every detail, from the timing of events to the people who enter your life. The chosen ones eventually see that divine alignment is not about comfort, it's about calling. It's about being moved by unseen hands into places that reflect your growth and purpose. The shifts are proof that heaven is active in your story. The alignment may strip you bare, but it rebuilds you stronger. It removes what's temporary so what's eternal can take root. And though you may not understand it in the moment, every unexpected change is God's way of whispering, "You're ready for more." The number one sign that you're about to move into your next divine chapter is the appearance of an unexplainable inner peace that replaces anxiety, confusion, and uncertainty. It's not the peace that comes from having everything figured out, nor the calm that comes when life is perfect. It's a deeper kind of peace, a sacred quietness in your soul that arrives even when your external world still looks chaotic. You begin to feel light even when nothing around you has changed. This peace comes from a divine knowing that your spirit has already crossed over into your next season before your body physically does. It's like your soul has already unpacked in a new reality, and now the rest of your life is simply catching up. This peace doesn't make logical sense, yet it feels unshakably real. It's the assurance that what once worried you no longer holds power over you, because deep down, you've already surrendered control to something greater than yourself. When this inner peace arrives, it feels like the storm inside you suddenly stops raging. You stop questioning why things happened and start understanding what they were teaching you. You stop chasing clarity from people and start trusting divine timing. You stop arguing with your circumstances and start flowing with them. There's a noticeable shift in your energy. Where there was once resistance, there's now acceptance. The weight you used to carry, the stress that used to consume you, begins to lift quietly. You begin to breathe differently, think differently, and see differently. Even when uncertainty surrounds you, there's this quiet voice inside whispering, "You're okay. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should." This voice doesn't shout, it gently reassures you that you're on the right path, even when you can't see the destination yet. That is the voice of divine peace, the unmistakable signal that your breakthrough is near. This peace comes after you've gone through enough battles to realize that fighting everything only exhausts your spirit. You've cried, you've wrestled, you've resisted, and now you're tired, but not defeated. You've reached the point where surrender feels like relief, not loss. You understand now that what is meant for you cannot miss you, and what is not meant for you cannot stay. That realization creates an emotional stillness so deep that it transforms how you see life itself. You no longer chase outcomes, because you trust that divine timing has already arranged what belongs to you. You no longer fear change, because you recognize that change is the only way new blessings can enter your life. This peace isn't passive, it's powerful. It doesn't mean you've stopped caring, it means you've stopped forcing. In this state, you'll notice that the things which once triggered anxiety no longer move you. The conversations that used to drain you suddenly lose their effect. The people who once had emotional control over you no longer influence your peace. You begin to detach without bitterness. You stop reacting impulsively and start responding intentionally. Your energy becomes precious, and you guard it carefully. You no longer feel the need to explain your decisions, because your spirit knows they are divinely guided. This quiet confidence makes others notice the change in you. They can sense that you've shifted, even if they can't put it into words. You may appear the same outwardly, but spiritually, you're operating on a higher frequency. This calmness confuses people who once thrived on your reactions, but it also attracts those who vibrate at the same level of peace. Inner peace doesn't mean your life becomes easy overnight. The storms may still come, but your response changes. You no longer panic when the waves rise because you know the storm is temporary and the purpose behind it eternal. You trust the process instead of resisting it. You realize that God's protection sometimes looks like unanswered prayers, closed doors, or detours that save you from destruction. You begin to see divine patterns in every setback. Instead of asking why me, you start saying thank you even for the things that didn't go your way. That's how you know your faith has matured. Peace becomes the lens through which you view every challenge, and because of that, nothing can truly shake you anymore. The peace that comes before divine movement also shows up in how you handle waiting seasons. The old you would have been restless, frustrated, or impatient, but the evolved you recognizes that waiting is not wasting. You understand that delays are divine. You start preparing instead of panicking, because you know that when God moves, everything will align swiftly and perfectly. You use your quiet time wisely to heal, to reflect, to strengthen your connection with Spirit. The anxiety of when will it happen, turns into gratitude that it hasn't happened yet, because now you know that everything must unfold in divine order. This shift in mindset is what unlocks the peace that surpasses understanding. It's the recognition that peace isn't found after things work out, it's what allows them to work out. When divine peace enters your life, you'll notice it in small, sacred moments. You'll wake up one morning and realize you're no longer afraid of what's coming. You'll catch yourself smiling for no reason, feeling thankful for the simplicity of the present. The worries that once controlled your mind begin to fade. You might even revisit old places that once triggered pain and feel nothing but gratitude. That's healing, the moment when peace becomes stronger than your past. The inner battles quiet down, and the noise of the world doesn't reach you as deeply as it once did. You start protecting your peace as if it's your most valuable possession, because it is. This inner peace doesn't come easily. It's born out of struggle, faith, and surrender. It's the reward for trusting through uncertainty. You earn it when you stop trying to make sense of everything and start allowing divine timing to work. Many chosen ones experience this peace right before a major life shift, because it's God's way of confirming that the move is near. Before He elevates you, He calms you. Before He opens the door, He quiets your spirit. Peace becomes the divine green light that says, "You're ready now." That's why it feels so supernatural. It arrives before the blessing does, not after. This kind of peace is not fragile, it's unshakable. It anchors you when everything around you is uncertain. It carries you through transitions without fear. It silences the ego that says you're behind and reminds you that you're right on time. When you walk in this peace, you no longer need external validation, because your spirit has already confirmed what your mind can't yet comprehend. You begin to feel aligned with the universe, like everything is working together for your good, even the things that don't make sense yet. You start to recognize that every ending was a setup for a beginning, and every detour was protection in disguise. When peace takes root, it transforms your decision-making. You stop acting out of desperation and start moving with intention. You say no without guilt and yes without fear. You stop chasing opportunities and start attracting them. You begin to trust your intuition again because it no longer competes with anxiety. You realize that stillness is not stagnation, it's strength. In the quiet, you can hear God's direction clearly. You begin to see how every delay, every redirection, and every closed door led you right to this moment of alignment. The inner calm becomes your compass, guiding you toward what resonates with your purpose and away from what doesn't. As your peace deepens, you'll also begin to feel lighter. The burdens you once carried, fear, guilt, resentment, start to dissolve. You stop replaying old memories in your mind because you finally understand they were just chapters, not the whole story. You release the need to control outcomes and begin to trust the process of becoming. You find beauty in simplicity, joy in solitude, and strength in silence. This peace reshapes you. It teaches you that you don't need to fight to prove your worth or chase to prove your value. You realize that the right people, the right opportunities, and the right timing will always meet you halfway when your energy is aligned with divine peace. When you reach this level of peace, your manifestations begin to accelerate. Because peace is the vibration of trust, and trust opens spiritual gates that fear once closed. Your thoughts become clearer, your energy becomes magnetic, and your faith becomes unshakable. You stop asking for things from a place of lack and start speaking from a place of gratitude. You no longer plead for blessings, you expect them, knowing they're already written for you. This expectation isn't arrogance, it's alignment. It's the quiet confidence that you are exactly where you need to be and that what's coming is already yours. In this state, synchronicities multiply. Divine timing becomes obvious. You'll start to see signs, repeating numbers, divine messages, prophetic dreams confirming your transition. You may even feel moments of déjà vu, as if your soul recognizes the new energy before it fully manifests. That's because your spirit has already moved, now your physical life is aligning to match. This peace is the final preparation before movement. It's like the stillness before dawn, where everything is silent, but you know light is about to break through. The beauty of this peace is that it's not dependent on circumstances. You can be surrounded by uncertainty, yet still feel anchored. You can have unanswered prayers and still feel blessed. You can walk away from everything familiar and still feel safe. That's how you know you're walking in divine peace, because it's not based on what's happening outside of you, but on what's been established inside of you. The world could be shifting, and yet, you remain steady. That kind of calm cannot be manufactured, it's cultivated through faith. This is the peace that passes all understanding, the peace that tells you to trust the move even when you don't know the destination. It tells you that what's ahead is greater than what's behind. It reminds you that your next chapter doesn't require struggle, it requires surrender. You begin to realize that the energy of peace is not the absence of storms, but the ability to remain centered within them. You no longer fear change because you know that divine peace is the confirmation of divine movement. You're no longer looking for external signs, the sign is already within you. And when this peace finally settles in, that's when the shift happens. The doors begin to open effortlessly, opportunities align with perfect timing, and everything starts flowing in harmony. The people who are meant for your next season appear naturally, and those who aren't fade away quietly. The path becomes clearer, and you start walking in confidence instead of confusion. You realize that the peace you've found was the key all along, the final preparation before the move. Because God doesn't move you when you're anxious, He moves you when you're at peace. He waits until your heart is calm enough to handle the blessing without fear, until your mind is strong enough to walk by faith, and until your spirit is aligned enough to recognize what's meant for you. So when you find yourself in that place of deep, unexplainable peace, don't mistake it for stillness, it's a sign that heaven is preparing your next step. You've completed one season, and your soul already knows it's time to rise. The calm you feel isn't emptiness, it's alignment. It's God's whisper saying, "You're ready now." Everything that once made you question is now making sense. Every ending was a lesson, and every lesson brought you to this peace. And now that you carry it, nothing can shake you. Because peace is the final confirmation that you've passed the test, and the move you've been waiting for is already on its way.